Well, there's a great scene in the book in the Coronado book, where they run into those on foot or probably with dogs, buffalo hunters. Right, there's a
Right?
camp,
Yeah, yeah. No,
and
and they have dogs. Yeah, huge numbers of
yeah,
dogs.
yeah, up in that'd probably be like the Washita or in Kansas or
No,
somewhere.
no,
But
they first ran into them in the Llano Estacado,
okay, and
and even before that in sort of eastern New Mexico.
yeah,
And then that was another funny thing with Coronado. It's like like these. Well, I'm trying to think I'm spacing out of the name. The Querechos was what they call these hunters, and it's funny that it's like they don't show any fear whatsoever of Coronado and his guys,
right.
and you can kind of see why. It's like if they're threatened by Coronado and his guys, they just pack up their teepees and move
They
on,
just
and
leave.
they can probably move way farther and faster and
It,
get out of the way.
it's totally there's somewhere between that and the way I interviewed a woman from Liberia once. It was with the Grebo people,
Uh huh.
and they're very dispersed
Really?
agricultural, pretty.
Are they northern? I'm thinking they're probably northern Liberia.
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I don't know, but they were never really conquered.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
and they just kind of, they have kind of a relationship based on strength and dispersion. They're not
Right.
nomadic, but they're not all in a city. Like if you think about the Liberian Civil War, Monrovia just got like smashed, right? Like
Yeah.
like if you're in Monrovia, bad times are coming. Um, but if you're in a village out somewhere and you have a good armed presence, you're probably okay. You might be. Um,
Or you get attacked, you leave the village and you go somewhere else, which is what the
like the
Puebloans did.
Puebloans.
I mean, the
Yes.
Puebloans, they've done this, and their ancestors for thousands of years is that they built their their houses, their villages in various spots that were helpful for planting and whatnot, but they always seemed to have a place of refuge
A
that was
fortress.
that was inaccessible
Right.
and to anybody except themselves. Like an enemy could not get there.
Yeah.
And so the Zuni had that a mountain called Dawa Yalane, this big, huge mesa top that had its own water supply. It's like 300 feet up a cliff, its own water supply, its own fields, its own houses. So, like when Coronado first showed up, the Zuni at Hawaku, they just bailed out the back door and went up
Right.
went up to Dawa Yalani. And the same with it's a famous pueblo today, Acoma.
Acoma.
And
Yeah.
have you been down there?
No, I
Oh,
have not.
that God, that's such a place to visit, worth visiting. But again, it's another mesa top. It's not as big as this Dawa Yalani, but it's really dramatic and really steep. And there's a village that's supposed to be the oldest or one of the oldest settlements in the what's now the United States. It's at least 1,000 years old on top of Acoma. And Coronado and his guys walked past Acoma, and they had at this point they had Puebloan guides saying, "Yeah, here we'll take you to the east."
Yeah, right,
I'll
right.
show you.
Don't.
I'll show you the
Yeah,
way. Just
yeah.
yeah, trust us.
Don't want to look over there.
Yeah. But they got to Acoma, and the trail goes like right past it, and Coronado and the Spaniards are like blown away. It's like, whoa, that place is inaccessible. I mean, there's no
Right.
way we can't even think about taking it. And one of them writes that it would take a good harquebus shot to land a ball on top. And I mean, meaning it was like at least as high as a musket could shoot. And
Right.
so, they couldn't even hit anybody from down below because the musket balls wouldn't get up there.
Right. In meantime, the arrows were shattering down.
And arrows
Yeah.
shot down.
Yeah. I love that part in there too, which would be really terrifying if you were a would-be conquistador, where they used a yerba de flecha and
Oh, I love
the
that.
poison arrows that were just like, it was some kind of spurge, they think.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a huge family. The Spurge family is huge, and
Right.
I did a lot of research into this to try to figure out what it was. And it seems like people botanists have identified what's the yerba de la flecha, which means the leaf of the arrow
Of the
in
arrow,
Spanish,
right?
and that. But I really wanted to know is how it works, because how it works. I think there might be two ways it works, and there might be two. These guys are so sophisticated hunters, these native hunters,
Right.
and they'd been around for thousands of years in these regions. And you hear about Amazon hunters and all the techniques they have and the poisons and
Right.
whatnot. So I kind of think that they're the Opata people, which were in northern Mexico and almost into southern Arizona, had not just one kind of poison on their arrows, but maybe several. And
Mhm.
so apparently, if you got hit directly by these arrows, you just die. But the Spaniards had armor everywhere, and so it was hard to hit them directly. But if they just got nicked by one of these arrows, their flesh would start rotting away. I mean, literally rotting,
Yeah.
and and it would just pull off the bone like a giant piece of pot roast. And the Spaniards were terrified of these arrows because they were so deadly, and people would die. As one of the chroniclers put it, that they die the most terrible deaths with a horrible stench.
Yeah.
It's like, oh God.
And I was like that. I was always another thing that left me pondering with like the guy. There's one guy who lost all the flesh off his arm,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but survived. Like
But
what was
survived.
he
Yeah.
doing?
I know. And I think towards the end of the expedition, they thought they found some counteraction to the poison.
Right.
Although I'm sure that the native hunters, the Opata, had plenty of other things in their native pharmacy that they
Yeah.
could have used.
Yeah, for sure. I had an archaeologist who he does high altitude archaeology in Wyoming. He told me one time that the people who lived in like the Absaroka,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
you
mean, here, yeah, yeah.
you could compare like they had like a PhD in the botany
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
region
that's yeah,
because yeah,
exactly.
um,
I can't believe how they've figured out this stuff
I mean it was just being there for those centuries,
for centuries and
and
centuries and centuries.